Hi there, my name's Coreena, and today we're going to be doing 3 different distressing techniques to artfully age your furniture. In this tutorial, we'll unlock the secrets of distressing paint and delve into 3 distinctive techniques that will elevate your DIY projects to new heights of artful aging. Whether you seek a rustic farmhouse vibe, a shabby chic aesthetic, or a vintage industrial appeal, these methods will empower you to create the perfect patina for your decor. Wet distressing. Don't you just hate the mess sanding can make? We have a great alternative for you that creates a beautifully shabby chic finish on any country chic paint product. Apply 1 coat of paint to your piece and let it dry completely. If you're painting a previously painted surface, then it's better to give the paint a good chance to cure. For this tutorial, we did our first coat of raspberry sorbet 24 hours ago. For laminated wood or a previously oil paint layer, we recommend a light sanding before the first coat and curing for at least 24 hours when you're using the wet distressing technique. Make sure that your first coat of paint is properly cured so that it won't come off when you distress it. Apply a second coat in a different / contrasting color. In this case, we're using Darling. Wait about 1 to 2 hours until the paint is dry to the touch. Remember that even though the paint feels dry, it's still fresh and hasn't reached its full hardness yet. That's what you're taking advantage of when you're using the wet distress technique. Once your final paint coat is dry, grab yourself a bucket of water and a lint-free rag or a scouring pad. Make sure that your cloth is nice and wet, but not so wet that it drips. Use a wet rag to gently rub across the surface in a back and forth motion. Make sure to apply only a little pressure at first because you don't want to take off more of the paint layer than you intend to. You can always apply more pressure if you'd like. You can choose to distress only the edges of your piece or to distress it on the flat surfaces as well. Play around and have fun. What if it comes out too heavily distressed? No worries, you can always choose to cover with another coat of paint and start the distressing process again. Instead of the wet rag or scouring pad, you can experiment using wet/dry sandpaper. The longer you wait, the harder the paint will dry. So it's best not to wait too long before you distress your piece. If you've waited too long and the paint has dried too hard, then you can always use the dry distressing technique, which we'll be covering next. Dry distressing. With dry distressing, depending on the type of surface you're working with and the colors you choose, you may find you'll want a second coat of paint to get the coverage you're looking for. Make sure you wait about an hour before painting your first coat before starting the second, as you want to make sure it's properly dry before you add more paint. Let your second coat dry for at least 1 hour before proceeding to the next step. Once your paint is fully dry, you're ready to start distressing. You can use any type of sandpaper, but we recommend sanding sponges or sanding blocks. Today I'll be using a sanding sponge. They're easier to control, so you'll be able to distress exactly where you want to. Start out with a fine grit sandpaper and see how you like the results. Remember, the higher the number, the finer the sandpaper. If you use sandpaper that's too coarse, the distressing won't look natural. Try to concentrate your distressing to areas that would naturally get more wear and tear, such as edges, corners, and any raised detailing. You can take off as much or as little paint as you'd like. There's really no right or wrong. If you find you've removed more paint than you wanted to, just add a little more paint to the area. Wait until it dries and start again. Use a lint-free rag to remove the paint dust before you seal your piece. Beeswax distressing. Apply 1 coat of paint to your piece. In this case, we chose fresh mustard and let it dry completely. We did this coat 24 hours ago to make sure that the paint has completely cured. What you'll do now is apply a resist medium in the places that you'd like the second paint layers to come off. Our medium of choice is our beeswax distressing bar. You could also experiment with our clear wax, petroleum jelly, or candle wax. Rub the beeswax distressing bar on a few sections of your piece. The wax is going to resist the second paint layer in those places, and the paint will come right off when you distress it. Generally, you want to apply the beeswax distressing bar to areas of your piece that would naturally get more wear and tear, such as edges, corners, and any raised detailing. After applying the beeswax distressing bar, you can immediately apply a second coat of paint in a different color. We chose one of my favorites, licorice. Wait about 1 to 2 hours until the paint is dry to the touch. Once your final paint coat is dry, you can start distressing it with either a wet rag or fine grit sandpaper. Try using a combination of these methods and use both a wet cloth and a sanding sponge to create the look you want. You'll see that the second coat of paint will come off easily in areas where the wax was applied to, revealing the first coat of paint, giving it a distressed, shabby chic look.